What's up, YouTube? Mr. LawMSC here, and today we're going to be talking about some changes that could maybe be made to the Sorceress in 2.4 to bring about a couple of their builds and change things up just a little bit. Let's dive in. First off, I love this look. There's a gold look. It's just baller. Just got to say that. But some of the changes that I would discuss. Now, the first one, let's just get it out of the way because, again, we had this same idea in the Paladin video, which is everybody was sitting there complaining about me yelling or, saying I thought Holy Fire was a little too strong and blah, 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 and all of that and whatever. I already discussed that in the Paladin video. Feel free to go over there and watch that if you want to discuss it, because that has my latest thoughts on all of that. But as I did discuss in that video, beyond that, I talked about maybe the idea of nerfing Hammerden down. Because once again, while I saw everybody talking over and over, the one thing everybody agreed on was I'm tired of Hammerden, Blizzsource, and Javazon being the meta and just always being the characters that go destroy all of the, Players 8 content, which Blizzsource, honestly, you don't run a ton in like Players 8, but there too a bit more. But being the character that I always start with, always have to make, always have to run with, all of this stuff, right? They say they're so strong, they're so crazy, they kill everything, blah, blah, blah. And then at the same time, they say, I want to change the meta. I want to shake it up. I want there to be more endgame builds and better builds than those, so I'm not forced to always just make the same stupid Hammerden and Blizzsource every time. Now, my thoughts come down to this. We can either power creep so many builds to get to that level so that they're actually at that level, or we can maybe bring down some of the strength of some of these builds from SS tier to A tier. Low S, A tier, whatever it is, where they're still viable, they're still great, they're still going to go dominate and kill a bunch of stuff and whatever. But maybe when they go into Players 8 chaos, they don't just murder everything super quickly, or one Lightning Fury in a Players 8 cows doesn't just murder the whole screen, right? Maybe there is some sort of in-between adjustment like this. And again, for those of you who say, I love PD2, PD2 is like where it all is and the best stuff. PD2 nerfed Lightning Fury a ton, and then they nerfed it again after they nerfed it a ton because it was still way too strong. Now, I'm not sitting here saying they need to nerf all of the stuff everywhere in this game and destroy everything, but I'm saying there's very clearly 3 builds I think that really stay on top and have that big strength in a lot of areas that maybe if they were brought down a touch could improve a lot of the viability of a lot of the other builds in the game. And then at the same time, we're not power creeping so much stuff up to be as strong as a Hammerden, because if everything is as strong as a Hammerden, this game is now way too easy. There's way too much strength in this game and way too much power. So, anyways, let us move on and talk a little bit about it. I think simply getting rid of one of the synergies or something of Blizzard could improve the damage. At the same time, it would also adjust and create some slightly alternate builds, because right now Blizzard is Blizzard, Ice Blast, Ice Bolt, Glacial Spike, and Cold Mastery. And so you're putting so many points into all of this that you're really just going for crazy strong Blizzard. Now, of course, you can, not put into one of the synergies and mix it up and whatever, but what if the strongest Blizzard was maybe one synergy less? Those 20 points now go somewhere else, and now it once again invites a little bit more idea of playing Blizzard plus Frozen Orb, because now you can cast both of those at the same time, or playing it with something like Nova or something like Hydra or whatever it is. Brings a little bit more variability and variety to the build overall. Drops the strength of your Blizzard down some. I mean, again, do you need to be doing like 10, 12k Blizzards? Or is doing like a 4k Blizzard, a 6k Blizzard still totally fine? Hint, it is. It still dominates. I think there's some ability there. And once again, it does open up more options overall that can still do plenty in this game and be very strong. Now, at the same time, while Blizzard maybe would lose one, I think Frozen Orb could maybe gain another synergy. I think there's Frozen Orb is still just kind of lacking a little bit. It feels like I love the idea of Blizzard and Frozen Orb and kind of their differences. Blizzard is kind of the random rain of damage and all of this, and Frozen Orb is that single target. You really get that shot, and it's not quite single target, but more of that like narrow lane, right? Yeah, the little ice bolts shooting out do a little bit of damage, but really everything running through that ball is taking a lot of damage. So I love the idea of pushing more damage into that ball and making that kind of stronger in that area and better for that, like, aiming at a boss and more of the positioning and all of that, while also having Blizzard for kind of that area, more all of that stuff. Because, again, Blizzards can hit up to like 18k damage or something like that, which is insane. Anything over like 10k damage already murders everything. So Blizzards are already really strong. And I'm not even sure what the highest damage Frozen Orb is, but it's probably just a few thousand damage. It is just so much lower. There's so much more difficulty to really boost that damage up. And I think it just doesn't quite have enough right there. And now, once again, that these are on different cast delays, I think there's even some fun of being able to use both of those. It's around 1.4 to 1.6k for Orb. Yeah, I mean, it's just very low. And Blizzard 17k. Yeah, I mean, there's just a massive difference. And again, Blizzard's just going to always have more of that viability there. So I think bringing them closer, but then having their use cases be different really makes them fun. Now, moving over to the lightning tree, I think first off, Thunderstorm bug needs to be fixed. This is if you pre-buff with Thunderstorm and then you switch your gear. If you're pre-buffing, like using a weapon or whatever thing like that, the Thunderstorms won't actually go off. So that's something that needs to be fixed. Additionally, I think Thunderstorm overall is still just lacking a lot. There's a few ideas. One, it hits more often. Two, it has like a Nova on impact or something. And, this could kind of help it with a little bit more there. Maybe it has a weaken on hit or something. It just needs something else to improve it, really, because it just feels like it just doesn't, and also the radius is only 11 yards. I think increasing the radius a little bit more would be really nice. So now, I don't want to improve it too much in PvP, but I think having it improved just in PvM would be really nice, as a fun way to make it a skill that, is actually kind of worth casting and putting on and hits more than a couple mobs just here and there, So again, there's the ideas of making it just hit more often, giving it some sort of Nova and impact. Maybe the Nova doesn't actually hit the monster, but only everybody around. So that way in PvP, it doesn't change at all. Maybe there's some sort of weaken or something with the hit, whatever it is. It just needs a little bit more to get a little bit more viability. Now, I do like that they brought Nova back up, adding this static boost to it. I think that's really fun. I think Nova is a super fun build. And this is actually one of the builds that's going to make its way into the rotation in the future. So I do like that. I think when you get into lightning and chain lightning, you might again get to the same idea as maybe Blizzard or as one of those where an endgame lightning sorceress, the power on it when you get the infinity and all of that just creeps up so much that maybe there is something to think about for that endgame piece. But the problem is when you're playing through the game, it's not really overpowered. It's something that only really creeps up at the end. So I don't really have a good solution, honestly, for lightning and how it should be. Because like I say, it's not really super overpowered. Something like hammers, from the start, they're just always really, really strong. Lightning isn't always really, really strong. But once you get all of the skills, plus the mastery, plus the infinity, and all of that, then it just really does some damage. And last thing on the lightning tree, teleport. I'm not even going to talk about teleport because no matter what I say, I'm going to get a million hate comments. So we're just going to leave teleport alone. I'd love to hear your thoughts on teleport. You like it? Do you like where it is? Do you think it needs more? Do you think it needs less? What are your thoughts? That's it. I'm not going to touch it. Coward. I really don't know what to do. I think it is what it is. I think changing it would harm a lot of PvP a lot. And, you know, a lot of PVM people would be just kind of, I don't know, I think people would hate if it had an actual change for many. But at the same time, everybody else would be like, it needs a change. So again, I think that's way too many ideas there. So I just want to hear your guys. Now, moving into the fire tree, I was very sad to see that Hydra got nerfed. They reverted it back to the 3% that it was before. But they did not revert back the cast delay that it had on it. So I still have to say I do love the current delay and everything of where it is. I think it's very solid. I think being able to cast the Hydras out really quickly is super solid, super fun. At the same time, if you are running with really good gear, or if you're doing farming or whatever it is, you can still go and take this character and farm Mephisto, farm Endario, farm all of these characters, or these bosses. And I just want to like get over to Mephisto real fast. And like, that's pretty good. Hey, Wizzy. That's pretty good, you know? So it's still insane, and this is at 3% with these synergies. Now, I think maybe bringing it to 4% is probably a good way. A lot of people have recommended, what if one of the heads shoots a fireball out, or there's a chance that it shoots a fireball out, or something like that. I think that's also something that's kind of interesting because it does give a little bit of a slight AoE to it without making it all fireballs, or it would probably be way too strong. But like, I think there's something that can be done. I think there's definitely something that can be done. I also had the idea, what if there's just like maybe one synergy, like it's just fire bolts because they only shoot fire bolts, but that synergy was like 6%. So then you could run Hydra, Fire Mastery, and Fire Bolt mixed with like Frozen Orb, Cold Mastery, and Ice Bolt, something like that. And you could have a nice strong mix of both of those. And that would give you a nice kind of adjustment right there. Because right now the Fireball, doesn't quite line up with that piece right there. So, it gives you a little bit more of a choice, a little bit more, of an idea. Again, the piece that they talked about when they were implementing 2.4, and what I really liked was they were saying, we want to make synergies a little bit less important. We don't want Charge Strike to have, all 4 of those synergies, and Lightning Fury and all of this, and Lightning Trap, Lightning Sentry, everything have all of the synergies where you're completely stuck in it. We want to free up a few more points. And I think these are the perfect places to free it up. I think having Hydra with a 6% Firebolt fire damage per level, or 7% or whatever it is, frees up that. So now you have more points that you can really dual spec with Frozen Orb Hydra, or Blizzard Hydra, or Nova Hydra, or whatever it is, and you can really get a lot more out of it. So I think that would be a really interesting change that could, once again, just open up more of the dual specs again Because I do like synergies, especially ones that are interesting, like Fist of Heavens and Holy Bolt or something like that. I think there's really interesting combinations. But something like Hydra, where it just is Fireball, just adds more damage to it, and it doesn't even shoot fireballs. It's like, it shoots fire bolts. So let's like make Firebolt the synergy and have that damage help with this and, that sort of stuff. So I would change that. And then the last thing I would change is I would just make meteors drop a little bit faster. I think the drop speed on them is just so slow that it really is difficult, right? It really just makes it like you need to... You basically have to be like cheesing Mephisto or something to really use meteors. Or it's just like for when Bale Waves spawn or whatever. Any other time like this, when you're running around and there's monsters walking and all that stuff, it's just so hard to really improve it and help it and all of that. So I think, that could be helpful. I think also having a physical damage component, I think PD2 does have that, could be helpful as well, just to give it a little bit more of flavor. So it's like, why am I really focusing on Meteor here? Oh, because I need physical damage because these are fire immunes. And that maybe helps with the issue of how many fire immunes there are in, Diablo 2. So now you have this physical, just kind of like the Druid has as well with the Molten Boulder and the Volcano. You get a little physical damage to help out with that. So I think there's some stuff that can be done there that could maybe be, fun uses added to it to improve it. So those are the changes I would make for the Sorceress. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. Peace, YouTube. I'll see you in the next time. The next video.